Make sure I figured you'd be here. I know, you know, follow them every year.
Did she go to the restaurant?
Yes, she went to the restaurant.
Oh, okay.
So you said Libra. I was like, okay.
Oh, I thought she was over at the station. But yeah, I was like, let's go. And my wife tells me, like, no, I just didn't eat. They turned off, and I was going to pop the fuse off, but I didn't have to. So I just pulled out 10 millimeters.
I don't know who's going. My name's Bex.
My name's Zelma.
Yeah.
You're welcome. Would you like a tape on this tip?
I would. Thank you.
I just put my name on it, right? Snap, baby.
Get your face.
Get your face right here. Come on.
Hey, it's free.
It's free.
I'll give it to you.
It's free,
It's supposed to be said.
No, take me.
How you doing?
Get your face right here.
How you doing, sir?
Good.
Doing all right?
Yes, sir.
Extra, extra.
Looking good.
Read all about it. True story.
Hi, how are you?
Getting on this picture?
I am.
Stop the world.
More paint?
Hey, get your face.
Get your papes, newsies, stop the world.
Get your papes.
Extra.
You in the back. You. Get your papes.
Get your papes.
We got some paint.
They're free. Here, by the way. Free papes.
Hey,
She's been
get your papes.
Get your papes right here.
Hey,
Fresh
sir, you
news
look
story.
Hey, you're looking
Newsy
familiar.
stuff for you. Pape for the news.
Hey,
Extra,
you.
extra.
Get your pape.
Get your free paper stuff.
That's a good thing. That's a good thing.
Extra, extra. New story.
Thank you, gentlemen.
Well, you hold on to it. I'll hold on. Yeah, hold on.
Okay, so the noise is down a little bit. Maybe you can hear me. So I'm doing a Bob Ross painting. You may ask, what makes a Bob Ross painting? The answer is not necessarily the subject matter. The answer is the handling of the brush. I'll try to make this quick. It's 25 minutes. Two words. Brush tricks. Brush tricks. Every painter worth his salt should know all of Bob Ross's brush tricks. You saw me doing a bunch of them here. How do you paint an evergreen pine tree? Easy. One stroke and then up, 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 and it's a pine tree. Stuff like that. How do you paint grass? Easy. Fan brush, boom, 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 stuff like that. That's brush tricks. All of this. So my hope, of course, I only have an hour and a half to do this painting, so we'll see. First of all, I'm going to put some subject matter in here. I think I'm going to put a shepherd and some sheep on this path, on this dangerous path. Okay, symbolic enough. But while all the people that were just out here, while they're in there watching the performance of Newsies, I'm going to try as much as I can to turn this from a Bob Ross painting into an Albert Bierstadt painting. Yeah, that little joke.
I'll be back to bed.
Oh, good. Thanks, Kim. So we'll see. And I've got a lot of work to do, so thanks for watching.
Hey, free pace. New story, newsies stop the world.
Hey, are you on the list or do you need to? Okay.
Get your papes.
Get your papes right here. New story. Hear all about it.
Hey, shut your mouth.
So extra. And we were right out when you've been in a bad mood all day.
Papes?
Oh!
think she got it.
Wait, they can rumors get? I'm trying to pay you back. Wait, it's not. You have a what? Who did? You go.
Free pace.
Free pace.
Newsy stops the world.
New fresh story right here every day. Up here.
This side's better. We're free.
They cost a cent to pay. Be free.
It's better.
Come on, everybody.
Oh yeah.
Okay, so is it children?
We got free babes.
Hey,
Hey,
get your
why
pace.
didn't you give
Trader.
them any money? They cost a cent to pay.
Okay, so you said 4
Get
kids?
your pace.
Hey, get this fresh story right here. No price, no worries.
No worries. I like that. Free pace. Hey, you get your pace.
I'll give you another 5 cents. Hey, no cost, no worries. Get your fresh hot story right here. No price.
Modern day David is poised to take on the rich and powerful Goliath.
Bakes right here.
Newsy stopped the world.
They're all and they're not actually
Hey, yo, get your pace.
Already gone.
Price, no worries.
Modern day David is poised to take on the rich and powerful Goliath. Newsy stops the world. Get your pace. What was that? Get your pace. Hey, you in the red shirt, get your pace.
No.
Yes, you probably want to go find a seat in just a second. Probably start. You get a lot done fast, Dan.
Oh, and how long is the production? How much time do I have? Hour and a half?
Intermission, yeah. Intermission is about 25 minutes from now, and then the show is about an hour after intermission.
Okay, okay, great. Yes. Yes.
How much is it worth? How much is that worth? How much would you charge?
Because I'm doing layers and layers and layers.
How much would you sell that for on a
Wait for
regular
Stone
day?
Dan, I don't know where they're at.
$2,500.
Yeah, now go Newsies, Newsies, go.
All right. So I've got about an hour and a half to finish. It's kind of fun. It's actually a little bit of a throwback to stuff that I used to do many, many, many years ago. Yeah, that's all. So I'm aiming for a shepherd and sheep. I hope I have time. I have some pictures down here. Oh, I have some pictures. One of them was sitting inside the drip line, as you can see. So there's not much left of those sheep. The other two are in better shape, I'm glad to say. Better shape sheep, that is. Sheep shape. They are in sheep shape. Okay. I'm going to go ahead and start thinking a little seriously about that shepherd character. This is going to be a ancient shepherd, modern shepherd, male shepherd, female shepherd. That's going to be a male because this is a boys' school that I'm painting for. That solves that problem. I think I like this guy right here. So much for that pencil.
No, you've got your tickets, you're good.
What?
All right. Just getting started.
No, I went and bought a hamburger at a party.
Okay. Okay. Oh, Nelson. Yes. You guys are your roll call.
Would you paint in some other way?
No.
Oh. So it's not just paint like this, it's paint period.
Yes.
Okay. You must do something else then.
I do sports.
You do what?
Sports.
Sport. Oh, good.
25.
That's a great thing to do.
Okay.
Okay, one of these had pictures of a bunch of sheep from the back. There we go. Okay, so once I get the basic idea of the shape of a sheep shape, and I should be able to just, oh, and there's some little baby lambs, that's a good idea. There we go. There we go. Here's a lamb. I'll make this one a lamb. I hope I have time. I am definitely under the gun with an hour and a half, and now I'm trying to do, you know, organic animal shapes and a man shape, not just, you know, it takes a little more time. They don't know it, but there's a bear. There's a brown bear mixed in with the sheep. That'll be our little joke, our little secret. Hey, look out, there's a bear mixed in with a sheep. These are very shaggy sheep. It's a particular kind of sheep, popular in northern Turkey, called shaggy sheep. I need a bigger brush. There actually is a particular trick for painting a herd of animals, cows, buffalo, sheep, whatever. I don't know that I remember it, but I know the principle is you don't draw or paint each individual sheep. After the first couple and the last couple, everything in between is just a big mass of sheep shapes, and you define the sheep by cutting in little bits of light here and there. So we'll see if I'm up to the task. Okay, I'm going to do, I think, one thing to these sheep before I go to oils. That is, I'm going to do some, because sheep, of course, are mostly light colored. So I'm going to come in here and do a bunch of light colors to represent light colored sheep. Some sheep have light colored legs and some have dark colored legs, turns out. Some sheep have tails and some don't, turns out, judging by the photographs that I printed out back home. You know what though? I think I like the kind of sheep with dark ears. Huh. None of my pictures have dark eared sheep. Dark ear, dark face. There we go. There's one of them. Yeah, I think I like that better than all light. So dark muzzle and dark ears and dark legs. And while I'm at it, let me do some light strokes on the shepherd as well. I don't want him all silhouetted, of course. Now, I thought I was going to oil. I'm not. I need to do a little bit more work on these sheep. Now that I've done the light part of the sheep, I want to come back and do just a little more definition. Since I just decided that these are black-eared, black-muzzled kind of sheep, I want to come in here and get some of those details showing up here. Okay. Better to have too much chaos than too little. Now, I'd like the viewer to have to turn this mass into this blob into a number of individual sheep rather than me trying to carefully define each one. See? Yeah, I feel like if I squint, this is a little weird right here. Let me mess that up a little bit. I feel like if I squint, this kind of turns into a flock of sheep. Okay, now don't like this light area down here, but it's completely wet. So one of those times I wish I had a hairdryer with me or a heat gun. I was debating whether I was going to go to oil on this painting. It's such a quickie, I thought I might just do the whole thing in acrylics. But no, I think I am going to go to oil. Like I said, so right now, I would call what I've just done, so especially the trees and everything, a Bob Ross, which I talked about before. What makes a Bob Ross painting a Bob Ross painting? The answer is brush tricks. And again, every painter should know those tricks, and every painter should not use them. Or, in other words, use them in great moderation, because you don't want to do Bob Ross paintings. They're fun, like this. It's fun, frankly. It's cute. It's not a real good painting. Was Bob Ross a good painter? Nobody will ever know, because he's gone. But he was not a good painter on his TV show. Now, don't get me wrong, I like his TV show. I like watching it as much as anybody else. It's fascinating, it's good, it's entertaining, it's quasi-artistic, but is it what I would call real painting? Are you kidding? No, no, no. Cute, fun, yeah, but not real. Fun, entertaining. And every artist should know all the tricks that he uses. Everybody should know all the tricks that Thomas Kincaid uses. That doesn't mean you have to use it. You use them in much more moderation than either of them did. It's a fair comparison, by the way. I believe. Oh, it's a touchy subject, isn't it? Because there are some people, and God bless them, there's some people who honestly believe that a Bob Ross painting, that it's a real painting. There's nothing wrong with it. And who am I to tell them that it's not for them? Man, I'm sounding like a snob, but yeah, for anybody with a modicum of visual discernment, nah, it doesn't pass muster. Okay, I'm going to take a quick break. As you can see, I need to dump out some water. I need to clean. Okay, so in the hour that I have left, I'm going to do my best to change this from a Bob Ross painting into an Albert Bierstadt painting. Everybody who knows Albert Bierstadt knows why I'm laughing. I call this aerobic painting. If you do it hard enough, you get an aerobics workout. Okay. That's oxide red over the entire thing. It's already a lot more Bierstadt-ish than it was. I'm going to do a few other colors now before I finish the glazing. Some blues, probably some greens, maybe some yellows, some purples. Okay, now, little phthalo blue. Whoops, it's more than I wanted. Definitely more phthalo than I had expected up there. But I'll just keep blending it in and it'll be all right. What I'm really looking forward to here, and a big part of what will take this painting out of the Bob Ross into Albert Bierstadt, is when I start doing the atmospheric stuff. The hazy, translucent stuff, especially up there in the sky. As you can see, making much of the vignette technique again on this painting. I do on most of my paintings, evidently. Okay. Yes, I wish I had an assistant to clean my brushes for me. Now, a little bit of ragging. Okay, that's enough. Okay, so you see the light effects. You could call them cheesy. Go ahead. It's ever so slightly cheesy. Bob Ross-ish. I hope you understand. I pick on Bob Ross with great affection. But the art, the painting teacher side of me is correct when I say everybody should know all those tricks and then use them in great moderation. Okay, I think I'm going to start traditional painting, traditional-ish. Get away with a tiny bit of permanent rose. Whoa. Yeah. Before I leave that part of the painting, I'll come in and get the lightest lights. The sun just really poking through up there. Dry brush. I'd like a dry. Yeah. Nope, that one's wet too. Is this one dry? Dry enough. Okay. Now down to the first body of water. mist rising off the water, all the classic cliches. What I'm doing here. Intermission.
Whoa. Wow. Never mind, I want to take a minute to admire this painting. Impressive. How much is it? $500. One cent. I think you actually invest or at least Interesting.
Hey guys.
Well, I mean, I didn't really get to see it. Just the first time. Yeah. And he wasn't done. Yeah. He's not done now. No. He's doing a whole lot more. He does great pictures. Did you see the ones from the last 2 years?
Yes.
Yeah.
I'm the one.
Yes, he did this really big mountain thing, climbing it, and yeah, you can watch it the landscape of the first Arts and Swords Control and what it looked like in the original building. I'm glad that we're in the Shepherd and the Sheep. I love it. Oh, this is awesome. Wow. But why would you watch it? Wait, is that live? Great job.
So you just write your beer? Oh wow, it really has.
It's very nice. This is very nice. It's changed so much since I went in.
Yeah.
Did you watch any of this while I was what do you think? I love the two animals there. Look at all the shit.
You gotta practice twice.
There's a waterfall. You were right about the river.
These paints are acrylic, right?
No, acrylics underneath, I'm in oil.
There's a waterfall in the middle of the wow. You got the head? Oh yeah, welcome.
That's not very nice. Sorry, that's not very nice. You shouldn't say mean things like that. She shouldn't say mean things to you that you look like me. Wow. Your hair.
I'm in a hurry. Would you please tell the actors to slow down today? Never paint unless you know the product.
That's okay, that's my sorry. That's my grandfather Andrew.
Oh, it's my father. It's not mine. Trust me. This is number 120. No worries.
These were before the intermission. Look, this is not made. This is not made properly. It has it on.
Really nice how you. It is.
Thank you. Good, thank you.
Please excuse me, there's no Cheetos allowed in here.
You're right.
That would make sense.
You got more bread coming. This time we'll get the whole thing. Endless bread. Yeah. Are you feeling more?
The painting is acrylic underneath. I switched to oil about 30, 40 minutes ago.
Okay.
So this is different. Right now on here,
Yeah.
I'm just cleaning up my palette.
Yeah.
This is all oil.
Is it? Okay.
Yeah, and I'm just cleaning up this. So I have room to mix more colors.
Yes.
And you must paint a little bit. Yep. Yep. And you must like to draw and paint or something.
I do like.
Fantastic. Good for you. What's your name? Andrew. Hi. Hold up there. Taking it? You receiving it? What do you like to draw?
I like to draw.
Okay, all kinds of stuff? All different kinds of stuff? Good for you. Rick. To draw? I mean, giraffe. Giraffe. I'm just making that up. Think for a second. Eagle?
I'm
want to get a falconer's license.
Ooh, are you serious?
Yeah.
Really? Wow. I don't blame you. Be a certain age? You know? That sounds great.
I can check.
You'd be the only kid on the block with a falcon. Or a falconer's license.
Yes, if I had a falconer's license, I would have at least two.
Where do you get them? You can buy them from a pet store or what? Yeah. You have to capture them? It seems like you get in trouble.
It's hard.
Yeah, I would think so.
And also, you have to have a license to go get even one.
Yeah, I would think so.
Get in there before it's too late.
Good for you.
No, but it's the other three favorites.
Ladies and gentlemen, we will be starting the show again soon. So quickly make your last purchases. Eat your popcorn. You got.
Not very well.
I can only imagine what would happen if I were
He said it was on there. Interesting. Oh my God.
I started shaking with my family.
Your left hand really can't learn. You know, it feels so weird.
I don't think the left hand is
No, it's your brain. In fact, I started this about 10 or 12 years ago.
Holy cow! You don't want to win, boy.
But since then, when I play
You win it.
you know, my camera is actually better than a whole bunch of stuff. You see people have a stroke or something, you know?
Like $2?
Where you guys are?
I've been playing the guys on a ping pong table that's not even help. Depends on who I play.
When you play me, you have to play you left too.
I make Keith play like that. Very nice.
I put it in front of it. No, it's fine.
Let's see what you did.
I'm broke, $5. Thanks. No. Somebody has Love you, sweetie.
It's a worthy of
Go ahead, put down 1,025. Is that Mr. Christian? We know your type. You can't fool us.
No, you're fine.
I'll take these two brownies right here.
All right, are you there? Anybody watching? Good. Thanks for hanging in there with me. So I started off this painting right before I started painting. I did actually pick up my phone and I Googled a mountain storm, and as I thought might happen, one of Albert Bierstadt's paintings came up, and of course, you could tell just by looking at this that me and Albert Bierstadt. I like this. My name and Albert Bierstadt's name often appear in the same sentence. He sure ain't no Albert Bierstadt. Old joke, I confess. Old joke, I still think it's funny. I hope one of you has never heard it before. But honestly, you know, the only thing I had in mind, well, I knew I wanted shepherd and sheep, and beyond that, I was thinking of a dramatic mountain scene, which almost always, in actuality, means a dramatic valley. No, is that true? No. Okay, some mountain scenes are mountain scenes. Some mountain scenes are valley scenes, and for some reason, I was leaning toward the valley end of the spectrum before I started this painting, and sure enough, that is in fact the direction it has gone. And then the only other hunch that I had is if you're going to do a valley, and this is just classic Bob Ross, Albert Bierstadt-ism, make one wall of the valley very vertical and the other more. So you don't end up with a V, you end up with almost an L. Just generally, so I don't know what you call this kind of painting. It's off the top of my head. It's no photo reference except for the shepherd and the sheep, of course. It's fun. I used to do a lot of this kind of thing. It's almost fantasy, right? It's almost fantasy-like painting. It's definitely, you know, Bob Ross-ish. It's almost always landscape, by the way. You know, I don't think this kind of thing is done for a still life. Good artists do this kind of thing, you know, but landscape is really, really where it's almost always done, right? So I did my underpainting in acrylic, as I always do, and now I'm doing oil on top, and I am very glad that I decided to oil on top. I'm finding this technique is serving me quite well for this particular image. I'm following my normal approach to painting, step, layer, 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 layer. It's more traditional oil painting technique. More opaque, more render-ish, rendery, more drop-early. I don't know if all that. Certainly fun for a change. Now I really need to get some dark stuff going on over here. Picking up some violet, some ultramarine, and I've run out of red oxide. After I finish this dark stuff, now here in the, right, you always finish with light. I hope you know that. So I'm going to come back and do the light here in just a few minutes after this dark layer. Going essentially to black here, just as black as I can get. Black as I can get it without using black. That is. I don't have any black paint in this particular toolkit, so I couldn't do black if I wanted to. I need some more green. Any kind of green will do. Okay, now, if I have time to come in and punch just some lights, but I'm going to throw that brush out. It's not going to be worth cleaning. Well, I've got this dark stuff mixed up, though. Let's do a little bit of drawing here and there. Would help a little bit if these sheep had shadows, wouldn't it? Actually, part of the reason they don't have shadows before now is that I can't quite figure out where their shadows should go. It's pretty dumb. Anyway, I'd figured it out. Okay, darken this cliff down here. It used to be a medium tone, now it's going dark now. This tree down here needs just a little bit more definition. And I need to add another dead tree. I like the dead tree touch. Again, that's a real Bob Ross trick there. lodgepole pines. I remember so well my first trip into real mountains. My apologies to all you Easterners or North Carolinians. I like the Smoky Mountains, I do indeed, but they're not real mountains. Well, actually what they are, turns out what they are is really, really old mountains. That's why they're so rounded and furry and covered with fur. But anyway, I remember so well my first trip to the Rocky Mountains and the look and the feel of the lodgepole pines out there. I was 12 years old, but I was a weird 12-year-old, trust me. And I was already very, I don't know, I mean, I thought of myself as an artist, of course, but I now realize that me at age 12, I was behaving quite differently from most 12-year-olds. I didn't realize it at the time because I was just being me. But I was actually studying those trees and studying them quite intensely, and to this day, part of my research on lodgepole pines goes back to a 12-year-old kid. I'm not unique by any means. I am unusual. Okay, I think that's enough. I better start going on the light stuff now. I did a little bit of atmosphere, right? But that was all fuzzy stuff. Now I had better get going on real paint, thick paint. And to do that, I need to clear off a bunch of this palette because I've once again run out of room for mixing. I'm using a glass palette. Yeah. Just see what I'm doing here. There is no perfect palette solution. There are many different options. This is just one of them. Using a glass palette and scraping it with a razor. I also like this solution for plein air painting because it's heavy. It's a 1/4 inch glass with a gator board backing and aluminum channel. I made it myself, of course. And I like it outdoors in the wind because it's so heavy. One of the challenges of plein air painting is the wind can blow your palette away. So I don't think I've ever had the wind blow this palette away. So that's a good thing. Okay, now, where to start? I think traditional oil painting, you start with the farthest away, the furthermost object, and I think that's what I'm going to do here. Too bright? Too light? Big, I guess my fan brush. I'm really giving it a workout tonight. Okay, next layer. Add a bunch of blue to that. Add a little bit of oxide red, brown to that. More ultramarine. I think one of the reasons that this kind of painting is, it's a fun break for me. Because I'm worried much less. Whoops, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Whoops, let me get you back up here. Okay. Because I'm worried much less about the abstract elements of the painting. I am much more focused on rendering, on drawing. You could say realism. That's almost a misnomer to say realism, but I'm much more focused on, you know, let's make these brushstrokes right here look like a row of pine trees. Does that make sense to you? As opposed to my normal approach to painting, where I am saying, let's make these brush strokes look mostly like brush strokes that, oh my goodness, they accidentally look like trees. Does that make sense? So it's kind of a reverse order. And one of my viewers kind of argued with me last week about, because I'd made a statement about realism being easy, and they took exception to that. And if we were in person, I'm sure I could convey to that person what I mean by that. But this is a good example. What I'm doing right now is just easier than my normal abstract realism. Because in abstract realism, it still has to be accurate, but the brush strokes themselves are paramount. And in this style of painting, I don't really care that much about the brush strokes. I want this to look like trees. And again, forgive me if that doesn't make any sense to you. In my opinion, it is actually the difference between good painting and not so good painting, is when an artist has clicked over into a new world, a new reality, a new understanding, where they realize that the act of painting is in fact the act of painting, not the act of making pictures. And again, I mispronounced the word on purpose, just sort of as a mnemonic device, or just because I'm kind of a little bit mean and nasty. One of those two, I'm not sure which. There are some nice things happening here. I don't know how well you can see it. I'll zoom in here just for a second just fun. I mean, we human beings, all human beings, unless you've got a master's in fine arts, unless you've got MFA or maybe even a BFA, in which case realism literally makes you grumpy, all other human beings really do get a kick out of similitude. We really do get a kick out of an image that a human being drew or painted, and that it looks real. We just get a kick out of that. And anybody who doesn't think so has an MFA, Master of Fine Arts degree. That's a slight exaggeration, but so slight it's not worth correcting. Everybody enjoys realism except for people with an MFA, which is most art professors, of course, and the or worse than that, a doctor of art, history or something like that. Anyway. Yes, I'm being a little bit of a snob. Yes, I am. A little bit. Just a little bit. Now, if there's that much light, hitting those clouds, then there certainly needs to be a lot more light down here on this lake, doesn't there? So let's try to get that blocked in.
Probably tomorrow. It's all right.
I'll be out of work when I get here.
I know. All right, thank you. You're welcome.
And again, mist rising everywhere in this painting. A lot of mist. A lot of mist in this painting. Now, this little shepherd guy, since he's got this bright light reflecting right around his head, in fact, I'm going to make it one step lighter. Now, there's a whole lot of rules, lots and lots of abstract rules that you have to follow, even if you're doing realism. Rules like, we like to see light paint on top of dark paint. Don't care so much to see dark paint on top of light paint. So, rules like that still apply, even if you're doing, what do we call this? Realism, but that's not the word I'm looking for. As realism as opposed to what I normally do, abstract realism. So I have to decide what color halo do I want around this guy. I wish my friend Jeremy Sands. Jeremy, if you're watching, tell me, what color should the halo be around this guy? It's either orange or purple. I can't tell which. I'm going to start with orange and purple. And by halo around this guy, I don't really mean around him, I mean inside him. No, I think it should be bluer than that. Okay. Avoid that. I don't want that color. I want blue, I think. In other words, this figure, because he has a bright light around him, his border, his boundary will be a color. It will not be black. It will not be a sharp, hard edge. It will be color. Let's try blue. That might work. Jeremy, where are you? See, I don't usually do this kind of thing. Maybe I should certainly start. I really should. It's a light diffusion of light is what this is, and we all like seeing diffusion of light. Okay, so I'm not done yet. I'm just doing the blue around the edge, and then I think I might be able to take a rag, maybe, let's see, and simply wipe off the blue so that it's just around the very, very, very edge. Sorry you can't see me. Watching paint? Yeah, you can watch me paint. Okay. Okay. Yeah, that'll do. Hey guys. Good. Hey big guy.
You like to watch, don't you?
I like to watch something as long as it's something else every 5 minutes. Right?
Yes, exactly. Something new to eat, something new to drink. Something new to see. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yes. Do you like his painting? Do you like his painting?
Green over there. Something green over there.
Something green over there? Yeah.
Something green on the painting doll. It's not drawing anything.
He's not. Are you sure?
Want to look here?
No, come on. Here.
And people look. And people look.
Okay. I think that's a little too dark, actually.
Lost.
Don't touch it. Look, don't touch it, okay?
Yeah. That touch. Get that. I take it out.
Hello, ma'am.
Oh, any gym around here?
I'm sorry, I'm not even from Garner. So I know enough.
I know
In
this
fact,
is the auditorium, but I know there's a gym here.
yeah, there's an event play going on in there right now. No, I'm sorry. I don't. Until today, I didn't even know Garner had a downtown. Today, I've lived in Raleigh 30 years. Today's the first day I saw. Isn't that terrible? I've been to Garner 100 times. Just never been downtown. That's terrible. Thank you. Don't ever paint with your fingers. Okay, now his sleeves are supposed to be lighter than the rest of them, so let's get some slightly lighter sleeves. Okay, almost done, except I need to cut Sometimes here the paint gets so thick and soupy, you can't get any more to lay, you know, stick to the canvas. I'm almost at that point now. Like one little reflection, the photograph here is helping me a good deal. Yeah. Okay, I'm gonna leave him for now. Go on to other things because I've got an awful lot of stuff to do. And I'm fast running out of time. I'm sure I can stay here a little bit late and work. But where was I? Coming forward, now I'm to back to blue again. Basically, negative painting. Painting these trees, carving out these tree shapes in reverse. You know, instead of painting the tree, painting around the trees. Sky holes, traditionally, perhaps. A kind of sky hole. Except in this case, it's more than the holes, it's the whole shape of the tree. Trying to get the right color here first. Nope, too much phthalo. By the way, here's a little trick. If you have phthalo blue on your palette, right? One of my favorite colors. Some people are afraid of phthalo because it's a staining color. It's so powerful. It's easy to overrun. Here's a trick. If you have dioxazine violet, purple, violet also on your palette, phthalo blue and violet balance out each other. In fact, take a good dioxazine violet and a good phthalo blue, mix them just right, you'll end up almost with a perfect cobalt blue. So anytime you've got phthalo blue on your canvas, on your palette, pretty good idea to have some violet. I think my favorite violet is dioxazine violet. Anyway, have some of that there. What I just did right there, I put down some paint that was just a little too hot, too phthalo, and I just picked up a little bit of dioxazine. And part of the reason they play well together is because dioxazine is also a very pungent, strong color, like phthalo is. So they tend to counteract to a roughly equal measure. So little trick there. Remember that. Dioxazine violet and phthalo blue. Use them to balance each other out. They play well together. They're sort of opposite end of the blue. Not sort of, they are opposite end of the blue spectrum. And because of that, it's real handy. Now, the only other blue that I almost always ever have on my palette is the ultramarine, which also, of course, is purplish toward the purple end of the spectrum. So you can do the same thing if you put down some phthalo and it's too intense. You can de-intensify it with some ultramarine. It's just not as strong a counterbalance as the dioxazine violet is. Uh-oh, the music in there sounds like we're getting very close to a big ending. They're doing the musical Newsies, by the way. And the school that I'm painting for, this is a fundraiser. They're auctioning a silent auction, clipboard behind me. Happy to say the bid at the moment is $1,000. Thank you very much. And the school gets half of that, I get half of that. I do scores. Yeah, I don't know. I do dozens. There you go. Dozens would mean at least 24. Yeah, probably. I do dozens of fundraisers every year and raise tens of thousands of dollars for all kinds of good causes. And the reason I can do that is because I retain 50% of whatever the painting goes for. Now, typically, I only do that if it's a live auction. Some exceptions, this is one of them. First of all, this is the third time I've done this, and every time I've done it, I have prospered nicely. It has been well worth my time, so that goes a long way toward making me feel like doing it again, eh? Like tonight. Coming out here, painting for several hours, and getting paid $500 for a half a day's work. Not too bad. Somebody needs to slap me. Anybody, all you rich people, you don't count. The rest of us are going, what the heck are you talking about? $500 for a half a day's work, that's great. We're all in a different place, aren't we? Some people would scoff at that $500 for half a day's work. Other people would commit treason for half a day's work for $500. Treason. What brought that word to mind? I don't know. Okay. I'm having fun. In fact, I'm just changing the landscape just a little bit right here, making this hill come in front of this one. It's fun to make up. It is really fun for me. It's fun. I think it's fun for all artists to make up worlds. You know what I mean? I can make this landscape go any way I want. Ooh. See? Did you hear that cry of joy? I just saw an opportunity. To make this landscape even more interesting. I just added a bend in the lake. The lake goes around that promontory, around that this peninsula. This is now a peninsula at the bottom of this hill. Cool, huh? Fun? Like I said, it's fun to make up worlds. If I could, I would put a loon. I can't do a loon call. Every high school kid in Minnesota can do a loon call. It's part of the requirement for growing up in Minnesota. So you have to be able to do a loon call. Middle school, actually, probably more than high school. By the time they get to high school, they moved on to girls. But in middle school, they were definitely into loons. Oh. See, told you I couldn't do it. I'll quit embarrassing myself. Okay, back to the blue. Oh, now I got two sets of brushes in blue. Okay, sweet stuff happening up here. I'm happy with that. I say I'm happy with it then. I've got a number, can you see this? No, sorry. I've got a number of white branches, trunks of these trees catching the sun in white. And I believe all of that white that's up here right now, until now, was done with scratching, I think. Yeah. And so now I'm coming and doing some of the same thing, tree trunks, but with paint instead of scratching. And now I'm doing a Thomas Kincaid trick. Okay, this is straight out of Thomas Kincaid trick book. And that is all the tree trunks up here are basically white or off-white because it was done with scratching. Now I'm doing tree trunks that are distinctly orange in color. That is one of the things that Thomas Kincaid did really, really well. In fact, I haven't done it here in this painting at all yet. If you look at his banks of trees, like if he had it like this row right here, but even back there, but this right here, he would have, the trees would be 3 or 4 different colors. They wouldn't all be like mine are right now. They're all the same color, which is a distinct weakness. And Kincaid was really good. It was real subtle. One tree be a little bluer, a little greener, a little oranger, a little browner, a little redder, a little greener. It was a very effective way. It made the bank of trees look more interesting, made them look more realistic. Uh-oh, they are definitely into the grand finale in there. Which means my minutes are numbered. Well, again, I don't have to be done. I want to be done as much as possible. Looks like I'll be taking another painting home. I am not embarrassed about that. Tried to do a 30 by 40 inch painting in 2 hours. In realism to boot. That's nothing but mist down here at the bottom of that valley. Now, I think I'm down to this bank of trees. Cutting, negative painting, cutting out the tree. Hey, big guy. Are you back?
He is. He just went a little bit out. Had a little bump.
Uh-oh.
Okay.
Little bump.
Tried to get him. I said, slow down. The problem is he's right before crashing. So.
That's right. Right. We have 4 grandchildren living with us right now. 7, 5, 3, and 2.
Wow. Well, he's just a little over 2.
Yeah. Yeah.
He's the only one living with us. We got 4 others, but they're down in Pinehurst.
Oh, yeah. I'm going to be in Pinehurst in 2 weeks judging a show.
Oh, nice. What kind of show?
It'll be an art show, yeah. It's nice to be the judge.
Yeah.
I'd rather judge than be judged.
They moved up last year from outside of Fort Stewart, so now he's up there outside.
Where's Fort Stewart? Where's that?
Near Savannah.
Oh, Georgia?
Yeah.
Okay. The military?
Yeah. So he's out. So he's a Bragg, but they're
Yeah. Yeah.
outskirts of Bragg.
Okay. Now I'm going to mixing up some green. I want to do a little bit of that trick I mentioned just a few minutes ago. Turning these into different colored trees. Look at all the colors I'm putting on those trees.
Pretty neat, huh?
Mommy?
Okay. Can you be quiet and I'll take you in to see Mommy? Can you be quiet?
You want to go in? You think you can do it, buddy? Can you do it, huh?
Can you be quiet, please? We'll find out.
We sure will. We'll all find out together.
That's right. You got your pacifier? Good to go?
Okay. So here I'm doing the very trick that I just mentioned a minute ago from Thomas Kincaid. Adding different colors to the trees, so they're not just right. So far they've been all quite flat, monochromatic, and now I'm adding light to them, of course. I'm also adding different colors of light to them. Is it over? Oh, good. Oh, I left you up there in the corner for a while, didn't I? I'm so sorry. This is actually my favorite part of the whole painting, ironically, up here. That happens sometimes, you know? Just some part of it just like, man, that is sweet. That's ish, or Thomas Kincaid-ish. Well, it's closer to Albert Bierstadt than anything else, but it'd take quite a stretch to say it's Albert Bierstadt-ish. Bierstadt-y, that's an adjective. Did you catch that? Bierstadt-y. A little bit of broken color. Oh, what's his name? Philip. Well-known art teacher. Get his name. It'll come back to me. Uses that term, broken. He's not the only one. A lot of people use it. Broken color. Same value, pretty much, as what's already there. In this case, slightly lighter. But I'm adding just a little bit of purple. Ah, that's sweet. I gotta tell you, I'm really happy. I'm happy with this painting. It is what it is. I'm not pretending it's any more than what it is. You know, it's a jigsaw puzzle painting, chocolate box tin painting. Somebody, I think that's what it's called. That's a pretty good chocolate box, especially since I did it totally off the cuff. Trying to match this color up here, the atmosphere color. Very close, a little more yellow ochre and white. Should be just about there. Yeah, good, close enough. Again, what I'm doing up here is all of this color up here, this band especially, was achieved through scumbling, through just, you know, scumbling. It's an onomatopoetic word, scumble, 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 scumble. It was achieved, the color was achieved by just scumbling translucent, opaque paint very thinly, making it translucent. And that's a good technique for achieving the color that you want in any given area, color and value that you want in any given area, but it is not, it doesn't leave a pleasant feel on the canvas. We don't like, it feels unfinished. So what I've just done there is tried to match. I think I'm gonna play around with it. Look, this wall, play around with this cliff face here. So I've having used scumbling to achieve the color and value I want, then it's simply a matter of coming back, matching exactly by mixing on my palette, mix the color I want, then come over here and painting on top of the scumbled area. I hope that made sense to you. Okay? Use scumbling to nail down the exact color that you want. So I'm trying to achieve this stair-step effect here. Got it? So use scumbling to achieve the color and value that you want, because it's the quickest way to get there. You just mix right on the canvas and keep mixing till you achieve the look you want. You just keep scumbling till there, that's the color I want. But you end up with a texture that's unpleasant. So then it's real easy. You come back after that and match the color that you achieved by mixing on your palette, and then apply thick, or what I sometimes call real paint, to that area. And I think that's all right. Okay, this whole area not done. I think before I go there, I've got to color some paint on my brushes here. That whatever that dull gray is, I think it's going to be a good color for negative painting. That's actually too, believe it or not, as dark as it is, it's too bright, too light, too white. Let's darken that up a bit. Yeah, drawing too much attention to that part of the painting. Just used up the last dollop of my dioxazine. I'm painting pretty thick right now, actually, and so often when I do that, I'll pick up just a tiny bit of liquid on my brushes. Still not happy with that. Sorry. Adding green to it now. I'll put a little bit of liquid because my brushes are sopping thick. Do you know what I'm talking about? Pure, out of the tube oil paints, and that it's great to paint that way. It's nice and juicy and fat. My only exception is it'll take a week to dry if I don't add some liquid in. And even if I take this home, I want it to be dry tomorrow. You with me? So that I can work in it more easily. And if the buyer takes it home tonight, I want to be able to tell them, oh yeah, it'll be dry by tomorrow. So anyway, I just have the liquid there for times like that. I feel like I probably need to, everything I just did up there is just too hard edge. That is my nature. For some reason, going back, I remember all the way back to college, my default setting is hard edges. I think there's something about it I just like. I like the abstract look of almost like stained glass window feel. To me, it's charming, but I have learned that it's not so charming to most people. Most people don't want to see that. So what I just did right there, just took all that charming stained glass window stuff that I just did and simply darkened it. I mean not darkened, softened it. There. Okay. Do I sound like I'm working hard? There be a reason for that. Whew. Almost made this, I mixed up a color, it's too light again. But I'm gonna go with it anyway. I'm just gonna go with it. I'm gonna go ahead and try to not paint hard edges. In spite of the fact that I like them. I know you guys don't, so whoever you guys are, the guys, the gang, them, in the world of painting, they don't like those hard edges, so. Whoops. My rug. By the way, whenever I paint in a place like this, I have 4 area rugs thrown down. Carry them with me all the time in the van. And they cover an area about 15 square feet maybe. Now 4 by 6. 24 square feet. 24 square feet. Anyway, I hope to protect the floor. Glad I did it tonight because the custodian of this building was quite concerned about me. I don't blame him for being concerned. did sort of want to tell them that I've painted in buildings worth 100 times more than this building, maybe 1,000, and have yet to leave a mark, as far as I know. My good grief, just in this neighborhood alone, the Umstead Hotel, Carolina Inn, Washington Duke Inn, last week, 2 weekends ago in Nashville, right? Bellmead Country Club, Manhattan. I restrained myself. I did not begin to list off these buildings. You'd have been really proud of me. I bit my tongue. Hello. And just kept it all under my hat. I hear applause. That might be the end. Oh, not quite. I'm really worried about the end of this program. Can you tell? Everybody's going to come rushing out. They're going to want to see a finished painting. They're not quite. At the moment, they're not quite going to see a finished painting. We're getting close, though. Is it over?
Sir.
No. Oh,
not quite. You're going ahead.
I don't have to do much. I don't want them. I don't want to have to start explaining a lot, right? Let's just highlight a few of the top edges and see how we like that. I pretty much like them the way they are. Just very muted. They're not nice, clean white sheep. They've been out in pasture for a while. More than that, they're in the shade, right? They're here. They're not in the sun. Yeah, I'm going to leave that. I've got a color on here, though, that I think I'd like to put on this guy's vest. Okay. Might be down the home stretch. I'm going to do some dark, same thing that I did here, these with just different colors. So, very, 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 very subtle. Be boring for you, I'm sorry, because you probably won't even be able to see. You will hardly be able to see what I'm doing. I guess you can. Let's see if that works. Again, forgive me for using the Thomas Kincaid trick, doing alternate trees. What's the word I'm looking for? On off, one, skip two, this one, skip a couple more, this one. Here's a neat effect, by the way. I don't know if you can see it or not, but it's a fun visual effect that you can play with many things, and that is, so what started out here to be the color of the tree, when I came down here, actually became the color between two trees. So I went from positive painting to negative painting, that is, from painting the object to painting where the two objects are not, with one color, with one shape. And that's a fun little trick. Anytime you can squeeze it in your repertoire, fun little trick. So I just picked up some Indian yellow so I can come in here and do so Indian yellow with what was already on my brushes, has just made this much greener than I've used up until this point. One of the things I need to do, by the way, is there's sun coming this way, right? So I need to hit the, haven't done this yet, that'll maybe the last thing I do is hit the edges of several of these trees with just a real, whoops, there goes my light, with a real light edge. There goes my battery. So hang on, ran over there, got a chair. I love my LED light, by the way. Oh man, what a lifesaver that has been. It's a photography product. Got it at B&H Photo. And it's been worth every penny. I think I paid about $105 for it from B&H Photo. It's I don't know how many bulbs are up there, 150 or 200 LED bulbs. If you know what I mean. That's how LEDs are counted often. How many lights? My last dark. Now start doing some highlights on all these trees. Hello.
What are those things down in the left-hand corner? Can you tell me that? Wait. No, those are trees on the right-hand side. But what are these things?
Can you see some sheep? Does he know sheep?
Uh-huh.
Yeah, I think. Okay. Okay, first, I'm mixing up just some pale green. This will be some of my first.
Goliath's not in this picture.
You looking for Goliath? Like giant Goliath? This is more like David, isn't it? This is David, the shepherd boy. Okay, a little bit of that same color right here, just. I guess all I've got. Now I want to change that color slightly to make it a little bit greener and hit this front row of trees. brushes off and do a little bit more of the same with a little brighter and yellower color. So, and I need to stand back and see if I'm really done with this thing. Yeah, I think I am. The focal point, obviously, right here. The shepherd is almost incidental to the scene. That's kind of the way I wanted it. He's an emotional focal point, but he's not a visual focal point. Probably another Kincaidism right there. The sunlight hitting the very top shaft of that tree. Again, I said earlier, every painter should know all the Bob Ross tricks and all the Thomas Kincaid tricks, and just use them in much moderation. That's the hard part. Most developing painters, they get carried away when they learn something like that and they overdo it. Of course, Bob Ross made an entire career out of overdoing it. And again, I say, okay.